let's all give a huge shout out to K-Dog. We're basically going over hot takes about what happened in the division, FNCS Division 1 recently. Basically, Pollo and Peterbot both landed the same POI, and I'm not gonna lie, Peterbot may be falling off. Not even trolling. Honestly, Puyo dogged on them. Agers and Acorn also obviously had big parts in this. I'm not gonna lie, Colder Rituals were playing like some butt cheeks. We're gonna see what K-Dog talks about. Huge shout out to him. His video is gonna be in the description as well as the, Go Stop Dome, of course. Huge shout out to him for letting me react to this stuff. Let's get it. Let's go.
Believe it or not, we are already done with the Div Cups, man. We have
Insane.
a 2-week break now, one more Eval Cup, and then we are already straight into FNCS. So
If y'all don't know why, this basically because Epic Games goes on a summer vacation for about 2 weeks. They don't mess with the game, and then they come back, fix everything, and then FNCS. Usually, there's a lot of bugs. Usually, practically the game breaks, and then they come back and fix it. But like, it'd be unfortunate because every single time they leave, something always weird happens with the game. I feel like
the Div Cups are over. I wanted to bring back our weekly series of Fortnite competitive hot takes. Now, hot takes
Let's
is
go.
a weekly series that we do here on the channel where I give you guys a platform to voice your current opinion and thoughts about the current world of Fortnite competitive.
Should I start commenting on these? Let me know. Because I definitely have hot takes.
If you guys want to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure you guys just follow me on my Twitter, because that is where I ask for your hot takes each and every single week. And as always, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel if you guys are new, as we are so close to 110,000 subscribers.
That's gross.
For me even more, especially when buying any of the brand new skins. Please just go K-Dog in the item shop.
W.
We have a lot of different takes to go over. And disclaimer, a lot of them are about the Peterbot versus Pollo off spawn fight.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. To say right now that Pollo isn't better than Peterbot at this moment, I feel like is a hot take itself. Because we all know Peterbot is the #1 player, right? With this trio, actually, okay, I'm literally about to contradict myself. But let me erase what I said before. Peterbot's the best solo player, right? I think that can be confirmed, right? You know, if you want to confirm it, not confirm it, whatever. This is the best trio right now. Pollo, Agers, and what was it? Acorn? I think that's Acorn in here. I think. Anyways, it's just, it makes sense that this is the better trio. It's simply because Cold and Ritual, their landing was butt. I'm gonna give it a butt. Their landing was butt. That's how it was. I watched every single landing. I'm not gonna lie, more than like 85% of the time, their landings were butt compared to Pollo, Agers, and Acorn. And it's probably because, this team's probably taking the game more seriously. Peterbot gotta grow. Cold, I don't even hear Cold grind, and Ritual kind of grinds. Comparatively to Pollo, Acorn, and Agers, where it looked like they knew what they were doing because of their drop. And the drop is very significant, because if two people are landing at the same spot, and one takes the gun first, you already know who wins, right?
So let's just get straight into it. Kanata isn't a top 3 trio on NA. He got lucky with the first Div Cup because no one good challenged him on height.
That was a good 6 out of 10 rage bait. That's a 6 out of 10 rage bait. That's good. That's good. Kanata, like, you can call me a glazer for Kanata. I can fully accept that. Kanata is insane at the game. I don't know how I feel by that one.
This is a take that I have been seeing a good amount recently, and for the first part of your sentence here, I think it is almost impossible currently at this point to break into that top 3 trios on NA. I think it is pretty much just...
okay, you know what? Maybe top 5. We'll say top 5.
I believe Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual, Acorn, Agers, and Pollo, and clix, Yamzo, and Higgs.
Yeah, those are the top 3.
Grand finals, even if Peter and Pollo end up contesting each other the entire time, I think the only way someone would actually say that a trio is better than them is if they go out there and just absolutely dominate and win grand finals.
I'm gonna say my top 5 trios. Hey, shut up.
Shut
Shut up.
Like, fully discredit
I just paused the video. Okay, sorry. I don't know what's wrong with my PC. All right, top 5 best trios right now. Pollo, Peterbot, clix, Kanata, and then Reek, Cooper, and that's top 5. That's my opinion. You let me know in the comments what you think your top 5 is.
So I'm not going to say they necessarily got lucky, but I think they definitely did have a lot of cards fall in their favor. But we can't act like height was just completely given to them either.
No, height is not given to you in Fortnite. Look, if you play the game, hey, you know that. You know that. If you play tourneys, you know that even more. To say that they given height, that's just not true. Come on, don't be lying.
All 3 of their 6-game wins came off of the back of being on high ground. I feel like, though, just this most recent week, we saw a lot more teams really challenge them for it. Like
that's good.
Acorn, and Pollo completely just took it over whenever they wanted to.
Disgusting.
And trio really didn't even try to fight back.
And that's, believe it or not, a strategy. Just like how Booga will run from Peterbot. That's a strategy. They don't want to fight. It's just a strategy that helps them out because they're going to last longer in placement. And if they try and fight them, they know that Pollo and Acorns and Agers, they know they're a better trio, right? So they know that if they try and fight that, for one, they might get targeted by the lobby, but for two, they're going to waste all their mats and ammo and damage and heals trying to fight them for height. When they don't need a height, they can just kind of stay on, you know, a little bit below height and still get really good placement, either second or then after later take first. Does that make sense?
We even saw like Booga take height in one game. I think this week just a
dude, Booga was disgusting this Division Cup. It's him, Threats, and Craze. Honestly, Craze is underrated. I saw him play with Bucky. He was kind of buns with Bucky, in my personal opinion. And then he found Booga, and he's low-key good with Booga. I'm not gonna lie. They're low-key good with Booga. I see good potential. I don't know if, like, how high placement I can see, but, like, you know, Booga and Threats are already good. I think Crazy's a good addition to it for
more teams were going for high ground in comparison to what last week was, and I think that was kind of also just because it was the first Div Cup of the season. A lot of the pros were still really trying to learn the set lobby finals meta, and it does kind of concern me a little bit for Kanata Bulletin Rapid's future on how good of a trio they're actually going to be able to be in a grand finals. I think they're able to diversify their playstyle to be able to play more of a mid and low ground layer, which I think they are 100% capable of, as they literally have Kanata, who's a super good fighter, Bolts, who is literally just last week being talked about as one of the best players on all of NA, and then Rapid, who at one point in time...
Oh wait, Bolts makes sense. I thought he said Rapid. I was like, hey, no way.
...was known as the best fighting IGL on all of NA.
What? Hello? Oh, I remember. Oh my gosh. The fact that I remember that's crazy. I got like a flashbang memory of that. No, this is actually a really good trio. It's underlooked simply because of how good Pollo's trio and Peterbot's trio is. It's the fact that they're getting 100 points over trios that makes them look way more better than all the people below them. But when you actually look at it with not just Peterbot and Pollo, like if you take them out of the equation, the really good trios are there. It's just you're so focused on, you know, the top two people landing at the same POI because, well, that's interesting. But, I mean, personally, I find it interesting, all the trios. So, like, this trio is actually pretty good. But obviously, you know, we're in a moment of time where there's just overrating players.
This team in no way,
like,
shape, or form should just be considered high ground merchants, and they are 100% a trio that should still be very good, even if they're not on high ground. They just need to add that element to their game plan still. Savage doesn't get top 10 in grands, even if they are uncon. They have had struggles with Surge, and they would take many mid-game fights unless they find a new Surge idea or trade, then they might place top 10.
Okay. Marco Light, this is a good opinion. I personally think, off of this in specific, but I think Mr. Savage just took him bad. Not like, he's like a content creator, bro. I'm sorry, like, if that butt hurt someone, my sincere apologies, except for I don't care. I just genuinely think that he's just not at that competitive stage. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like there's a certain type of, like, thing you have to have. You feel me? I just don't think Mr. Savage has that. And he could get it someday, you feel me? I just don't think he got it right
now. Now, I think if Savage is completely uncontested in a grand finals, I would rather bet on them to place top 10 than to not place top 10.
I think top 20. But, like, shoot, bro. I don't even know Mr. Savage's trio. Because, no offense, but they're not placing, so I don't know them.
I think as of right now, in the current landscape of how things are going, though,
and I thought he quit. Why did he come back?
Savage is contested in a grand finals. I do not think that he will be able to qualify for LAN. They have just yet to really show me in any of the Div Cup finals that they have played where they have been contested that even if they're able to win off spawn, which if we're just being real, has been kind of rare recently, that they do still have other parts in their game plan that is very flawed. Like you were saying in this, a lot of their mid-game problems are still pretty prevalent. They oftentimes do over-aggress for Surge, which in a grand finals, I don't necessarily think they would do.
Right, I mean, that makes sense. But, dude, Surge is such a big, like, more of a problem than people expect. It's like, obviously, people want to watch fighting and stuff. But, like, when you, like, think about it, like, when you're that person that, like, overthinks, like, the game itself, or, like, you're a pro yourself, you just know, or you fucking play it in endgame, you feel me? You know that Surge is it can be so difficult to get if you don't have an off-spawn fight and you don't win your off-spawn fight, obviously. Or if you just don't got many kills at endgame and you just don't got damage. Or you're not storm surge trading, whatever you want to call it. You know, if you're not storm surge trading, like you're playing legit, right? And then you barely have any kills and you land uncontested, it's really difficult to get Surge. So, like, I can 100% see, like, why people overpush. I think that's definitely a problem. I know Bucky had a problem with that before. I know Mr. Savage, I think, has problems with that. It's just, like, people have that.
I think they would be forced to.
And that makes sense though.
How to play a surge trading meta, but
because some people have to have it. You feel me? Because the only reason surge happens is because there's too many people in the lobby as the zone is too small. So obviously, some people gotta deal with being below surge. It's just some don't know how to overcome it.
It isn't necessarily things that I've really seen them practice in the 2 Div Cup finals, but once again, like I just said, it's hard to really tell because they have been a trio that has been contested so much. Peterbot's off spawn just isn't good enough, therefore he is going to be conned at LAN, and clix will win LAN.
I think it's not Peterbot is the issue. I think it's cold and ritual, and this is not glazing. You can simply go to a VOD of any sort and watch the landing. Peterbot had mainly the best drops. There was definitely times where cold or ritual may have helped, but I think it was mainly cold and ritual that was kind of, you know, putting the bricks in the backpack. You feel me? Weighing them down a bit more. That's what I personally think. I might be a hot take. I just think, you know, I think Peterbot did what he could. I think cold and ritual maybe do a bit more.
So I think there is like,
as in like, when I mean a bit more, I mean like, you know, get the landing a bit better. Because again, a lot of the landings just didn't look good. Like they were getting outdropped almost every time. It was gross.
2 separate parts to your hot take here. For the first one though, for Peterbot's off spawn just isn't good enough. I think this can be true to a certain extent. Definitely yesterday in their off spawn,
it was bad yesterday.
Close to what Pollo was actually able to do. But if we just look back, even just 1 week ago, these trios quite literally went even 3-3 off spawn.
Yeah, we gotta remember that they did go 3-3 off spawn, and then this one obviously was way worse. I think it was 5-1. So obviously they can hold up. They just had a bad one. But this was like an obvious where, my personal opinion, looking at it from outside, you can see where the problem lies.
Tournaments though, Puyo is currently up on Peter all time, 11-5 in off spawns. So I think there definitely is a real argument to be made if you want to say that Peter just can't keep up with Puyo off spawn at this point. And then for him actually being contested at LAN, this is something that I have been talking about for a while. I think this really is hurting his off spawn rep going forwards, especially for these EU players that are watching him lose off spawn. Like there is no way somebody like Fortnite, who has ran through multiple super good fighting teams off spawn, is going to be scared of Peter after seeing what is getting done to him by Pollo.
That's what's unfortunate. Like when something like this happens, it like flips. Because you know how Peterbot would always talk his trash and whatever, but he would hold it up in these dual catch cups and all that. And that's why he kept getting uncontested POIs. Now it's that he's losing. Now Pollo is going to be the scary one. No one wants to push and do over the Pollo. And now Peterbot may be starting to be looked at as someone who's not as scared of, and they'll try and push more. Which low-key isn't that smart. It's one division, FNCS. I don't think it's that deep. I personally think that, like, couple weeks, but probably a couple months of regrinding more chemistry with the trio, I think it's not an issue at all. Peterbot's still the best player in Fortnite at the moment, hands down. That's without a question. And I think that, like, they need to get back into grinding more trios. That's what I personally think. From what I watched, it just seemed like, for one, that, and then for the second one, you gotta find a different chest. Because they kept trying to contest the same chest that Agers, Acorn, and Pollo just had the better landing for. So, like, looking at it from the outside, obviously, I don't know their actual game plan. So, maybe they need that chest. There's no other way. However, when I look at it, it's like, why don't you land on a different gun? Because half the time, they weren't getting guns. Only one player got guns on Peterbot's trio out of most of the games. Like, Pollo's trio had, like, minimum. I saw one of the players had, like, 4 guns on one of the times. I was like, how? Like, at that point, bro just spawned in with it. So it was just, you could just see where the problem was. I don't think they're gonna get like landed on. I think Verdoxy's still gonna be scared at some point. Honestly, that's why I personally think. I think Peterbot's built a good enough reputation for it.
And then for the last part about clix winning LAN, I think it is kind of too early to tell who is actually gonna win LAN. There was just so many different factors that come into that.
Oh, there's so many people that could win.
Who they can actually get surge with around them. So many.
Either Peterbot or Pollo.
So I don't think I can either agree or disagree with your last take there. But I do pretty much agree with everything else you said. Pollo, if unconned, would win grands by 200 points. Now, I think this one is a little bit of recency bias. We literally did see Pollo have an arguable top 3 drop spot on the map, completely uncontested last round in Mass Meadows, which is a POI.
I think this is controversial, maybe. If it was not Rachel and it was Pollo, with cold Pollo and Peterbot, then I would see 200 points up. But since Peterbot, Cold, and I'm not going to say Ritual's buns. His history doesn't make him look the best, but he's not like, he's still a tier 1 pro. Like, I'm not going to talk him down. You feel me? But if that was the trio we just said, Pollo, Peterbot, Cold, I can see 200 points. But since Acorn, Agers, and Pollo work really well, so do Peterbot, Cold, and Ritual. For the most part, they work really well. I can't see that happening. Even if they were uncontested, Peterbot would still push him. That's just a Peterbot thing. If you know Peterbot's playstyle and you watch Peterbot and you heard VODs and stuff like that, you know he's a very, very active player. Like, he will push no matter what. I think that's why they're not switching up the spot, because they have a lot more confidence in themselves that they could do more. And they can, fight off spawn.
For Doxy, who quite literally almost won grand finals with that POI, and Pollo, Acorn, and Adris were only able to get 5th place with it. I think it is also just more recency bias, because last week, even when we saw Pollo, Acorn, and Adris win off spawn, they really weren't even able to do much with it after that. But this week, it was just a completely different story. When they were able to win off spawn, they looked like far and away the best trio in the entire lobby. They were absolutely dominating on high ground. Nobody could even compete with them up there. I don't think they would necessarily win grands by...
I think also this new Bat Mythic thing is disgusting. Like, it was just wiping trios. So I think that definitely has something to do with it as well, because when you hit 3 people using that, it is disgusting, especially the gold version as well. Maybe if this weapon wasn't a thing, maybe possibly could have been way less points. So I think there's a lot of, things up in the air. You feel me? By the time LAN happens, this weapon they're using right now may not even be in the game. Who knows?
200 points, but I think a lot of people could still very logically pick them to win grand finals if they were uncontested. If LAN is a movement meta, Acorn is the favorite.
Interesting.
Now, once again, just going back to, there are still so many different factors in which could actually lead to what could happen at LAN.
So much. Oh my gosh.
A very solid take though. We know
that
that
Puyo
is literally the reigning defending LAN champion. And then Acorn has already proved time and time again that he can IGL to good LAN performances. So as of right now, I would 100% still put them in that contender tier, but it's just very hard for me to say that anybody is the favorite as of right now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, unless we see a total domination of some sort in the next season, there's like 3 teams, maybe 4 I can think of that could win it.
Yamzo is the 2nd best player on the region under Peter. Now I think if you
he's impression farming now. Look, I will say Yamzo is really, really good. But 2nd player, I mean, you're trying to ignore Cold, which has been named one of the best fraggers, right? Peterbot, Pollo, Agers, Acorn, right? Then we have Pollo, if I didn't say that already. Yeah, that's a lot of people. That's that top 2 trios. The top of that, Bolts is disgusting. Kanata is good. That's a wild take.
You were saying this after last grand finals, I would be a lot more like willing to listen to this take and maybe almost agree with it too. But if we're just talking about this season specifically, there has been so many other players that I feel like have been outperforming Yamzo.
5,
you can make arguments for players like Pollo, Agers, Bolts even last week. And then if we're just talking about like overall skill, I think I still would take players like Cold over him. And then when I made my top 10 player rankings video, I did have Yamzo as my 4th best player currently in the world.
I can respect that number. Okay.
Yamzo is the 3rd best player on NA.
This is the thing. I'm not disrespecting Yamzo in any way to not say he's like the number 1 or number 2. That's not disrespect. They're just factual better players by placement. That's how you kind of can see what player is better is by placements in game.
So far, in the only 2 div cups,
no hate.
I think a lot of people would agree, hasn't been his best performances.
Right.
Roxy, Pablo, and Shino will win grand finals on EU.
I can respect that.
I've been subscribing more to week after week now.
Roxy's gross in his trio.
Performance, literally winning the Div Cup.
Disgusting,
I am becoming more of a believer in this take. And even now that we have potentially Queasy and Malibuka contesting each other for all of grand finals, I think that...
Oh my gosh, yeah, that makes it so that's like almost guaranteed win. Oh my gosh, that's gross.
Probably just wipes both of those guys out of potential winning candidates. So now that mainly just leaves like Ferdoxi's trio, Venya's trio, and Vico's trio. And if we're just going drop spot for drop
Vico's
spot,
a good trio too.
Ferdoxi 100% has the best POI out of all three of those teams. He's also coming off of a week where he finished with the most elims in the Div Cup as well. So he's shown that he can be fraggy. He has a good POI. I think this take is 100% possible. I'm not gonna say they're like a lock to win grand finals, or I'm even like necessarily predicting them to win grands or anything yet, but this is a take that I will buy into.
Me too.
Trio is still better than Pollo's trio if they are both unconned with similar loot.
I mean, I think that's pretty obviously obvious, I think. I would say, and this is going to come off as glaze, but I could care less. I think Peterbot's trio is just better at pushing. I do think that Pollo's team will last longer on average. But with Peterbot's trio, what we've seen from their history, it's as simple as they push all the time. They push. They apply pressure. Pollo's team, on the other hand, I don't see that as much compared to history, of course, where they're more of a placement try and win. Does that make sense? So I think Peterbot is better pushing wise, but I think placement wise, Pollo is better. So it's whether you want to take that, because look, you can get a couple first places with only 3 or 4 kills, or like Peterbot could do a 20 bomb second place, which is still insane. So which one would you comparatively say is better? But then like one of Peterbot's game, they placed like 23rd with 6 kills. I know this is like really random examples, but like this has happened. So honestly, I would say like I think Peterbot is just slightly better. Like his trio, obviously not Peterbot. His trio is slightly better. Obviously from this recent, they need to work on their landing, but that doesn't make them worse. Maybe it just makes their landing. Boy.
Now, I mean, if we're just talking about like skill-wise, probably yes. Obviously, this has nothing.
Whoa! I was not expecting that out of Kid Hog's mouth.
To do with the off spawns. This was a hypothetical scenario where say there was like multiple demons domains and they each landed at one of them and they were fully uncontested. I think Peter, Code, and Ritual, just based off of this entire season in general and not just the recent Div Cup, have shown that they are a better fighting team than Pollo's trio. I don't think they would be as consistent as Pollo's trio, but I probably do.
Oh my gosh, Dad just said that. Oh my gosh. Dad just said that.
I have to agree with you in saying that they would still probably be better overall. And if we're even just taking the track history in general, Peter's last 2 Grands placements are 2nd and 1st, and Acorn's last 2 Grands placements are 1st and 5th. But I think that
So wouldn't that make Peterbot better? Wait. That would make Peterbot better, Kid Hog. What are you talking about?
The thing with Acorn, Aders, and Pollo is on a week-to-week basis, they can either look like the best team in the entire world or a trio that will be splitting up. So it really just depends on which version of Aders, Acorn, and Pollo you're going to be getting for the weekend. I feel like Vico's team, they're all very good fighters, no doubt. Definitely the best team on the region. But they need to chill with the over-aggressive plays if they want to win. Obviously, they can make up for games, but they don't need to be in that position to do good.
That's the meta, though. You have to over-push. You have to overdo it. Because when you overdo it, and you basically try hard extra compared to others, right? When you get 100 points higher, that scares the dog out of all these pros. Because you'll notice from the way they play that they play a lot less different when they notice a skin. For example, because we already talked about this. Peterbot plays extra, right? He plays try hard. He pushes aggressively. So that makes trio scared. Booga, like, we'll bring up that example again. He dead ran away. I don't blame him. I would do the same. But that's just an example. When you play super, super aggressive and you're known as someone who pushes aggressively, that will waste your mats, that will more than likely get the kill, you scare them to run away, then you get your Storm Surge for them running. It's just, I think personally, an outside perspective, I'm not no pro, but it's an outside perspective, it's better to be aggressive. Obviously, it can have its kickbacks, but you kind of have to, like, gamble it a little bit. You gotta take that risk, because high risk, high reward.
This is one that I kind of half agree with. I think Vico, Vino, and Flixie are definitely the best fighting trio.
They're good. They're crazy.
I think unfortunately for them, though, it really is just a regional issue. It is probably just a lot more difficult to be able to W key consistently on EU compared to what like a trio like Peterbot, Code, and Ritual can just do on NA. The average caliber of player in those EU stat lobby finals are definitely better than the average caliber in the NA.
Is that true? I can't tell which is better, realistically. I would love for people to let me know. Because when I look at that, I always look at LAN tournaments, and I've seen NA place better over EU, but I could be 100% wrong. because I've not seen leaderboards on LAN in a while. But what can I remember of NA being higher placement than EU, which would make sense for them to be better, right? But a lot of people always say that like a normal EU game or a tourney is way harder than an NA. And I can kind of back up evidence for EU, again, because I'm not a biased person. EU, I've seen a lot of people on EU place in NA, even with being on 100 ping. And I don't normally see NA people placing in EU. Does that make sense? So let me know if anyone knows that.
Lobbies. So I mean, I definitely do think at times they could chill out with the W King a little bit.
Right.
That's also what makes Vico, Vino, and Flixie so special, is that they really can go toe to toe with any team on the region fighting wise.
That makes sense.
Should land Utopia City. Booga's team doesn't have a land spot yet, and if he can get an uncontested Utopia City, he can easily win FNCS. Now, I have seen so many different takes of people saying that Peter should leave the drop spot since he is just getting absolutely owned by Pollo off spawn there. But this is what I like to see here. People actually giving some realistic options on where Peter could actually be going.
Now, I want to say this, because you got to hear this out. It's Peterbot can leave, but then they have to fight Pollo, Acorn, and Agers at the end, right? Or if they win the off-spawn fights more, that means they practically take out the highest competition. Other than Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs. Because they can give a good run-up, right? Other than that, if they keep landing at this POI, but they land better. They do better on their landing. They're not as high as, or I should say, they're lower than Pollo's trio. Of course, we talk about Peterbot's trio right now. If they land lower, land better, if they wipe out the competition, right, then they're good. Then they win, right? So it would be better for them to just adapt and do better at their drop. They just need to figure out how to out-drop Pollo. Because that would make the most sense. Because Peterbot and Pollo, that's who are clashing the most, right? When Pollo takes out Peterbot, now Peterbot's gonna place bad. Peterbot takes out Pollo, Pollo's gonna place bad. And they're both tier 1, like top -0.0001%, or take out the negative. They're the top fucking placement. That's what I'm trying to say, right? So realistically, in Peterbot's playstyle, which is aggressive, he should want to take them out off spawn, and that's probably what he's trying to do.
I think in the case of Utopia City, it definitely is a potential option, but I think that also does kind of just go against everything that Peterbot has stood for and has been building over the past year and a half at this point. Peter has always been a player that no matter what, he is going to be going to the best drop spots. So he now takes more of that Vico, Vino, and Flixie route, where he's just going to be going to a mid-tier spot where he thinks gives him the best chance to be able to win grands. Then going forwards, this pretty much leaves the best POI on the map up for grabs for any team that wants it.
That's a good point as well. It's a reputation thing. People may not think reputation thing's big in the pro scene, but again, Peterbot's reputation of being scary, so people will dead run away in the tournament so they don't die, so they get a better placement. Like, I think a lot of pros understand, and a lot of people watching, if they know, will understand that, like, you need to have a high reputation to get a good trio, but also a high reputation that pros will be scared of you when they fight you.
If Peter is deciding to stop going the best POIs, I think Utopia City definitely could be a viable option for him.
100%.
Trio has looked really good out of it so
Gross.
far, but with Queasy deciding to leave a fully uncon Utopia City to go and contest Malibuca, maybe there are some things we don't know about Utopia City that it might not be the best option for Peter. Pollo is not better than Peterbot, and with many of the other off-spawn fights, it's just luck based on who wins the 50-50 from the chest. I think as of right now, Pollo has looked like definitely one of, if not the best off-spawn fighters in this entire
he's a really good off-spawn fight.
throughout this entire season. Peter has definitely been the best player off-spawn from his trio, but I don't think you can just say that off-spawns is purely just luck-based. Definitely whenever they're 50-50ing the chest, you could say maybe some external factors.
Well, I mean, chest and gun spawn is like the RNG. But at the same time, it's the skill of landing lower compared to the other player. That's
AKA
skill.
Macros maybe are helping someone be able to beat the other one.
I don't think it's
spawn.
macros.
But if you watch this recent one, Pollo was really not 50-50ing any of the chests. He had the exact same strategy every single time. He would land at the top, run down the staircase, and then get the gun that ended up spawning every single game there.
By the way, spawning every game on there is disgusting. I don't know what he did for Epic Games, but Epic Games just kissed him a gun every time.
Off spawns is a lot more than just luck. It is mainly preparation based, drop based, and there is a little bit of luck that goes into it, but I think it's very unfair to say that it is just fully luck.
No, it's not
Peter
fully
will
luck.
leave Demon's domain and land on clix, then Kanata will win grands.
Holy shit, it sounds like something I would say. Obviously, this shit is never happening. I love Kanata, bro, but he's not winning. Why? Because Peterbot, Pollo, and Clixer all have better trios. Simple as that. If there was, let's say, Acorn on Kanata's team with bolts, Peterbot with bolts, Cold, there just needs to be one of those first place winners on Kanata's team for him to win. But there's not. So I think top 5. If Peterbot lands on Clix, Clix is cooked. Iamzo, yes, he's good. He might help. You know, Higgs is good too. Clix, like, they're all good. But realistically, Peterbot is wiping them, right? That's just realistic. That's just how it is, right? But I will say, man, that is not happening.
Another multi-layered take here for another potential spot that Peter could go to. I think this does align more if we're talking about the track history of Peterbot for landing on Clix compared to landing on somebody like Booga.
Oh yeah, he
would agree that Supernova Academy is the best POI in the entire map. So if Peter wanted to leave Demon's domain to go and land on Supernova Academy, he could just make the excuse that he feels like Supernova Academy is a better POI and he's not leaving because he's like scared of Pollo or something.
That's true, because Clix is still like a high tier pro team. So that kind of makes sense. You know what? That's a good backup plan. But again, I don't think Peterbot has backup plans.
And we all know that Peter is also
unless he gets 5-1 off spawn.
Ego players in the game too. So
Sure.
he would technically have a valid excuse for leaving. And then for your part about Kanata winning grands, I think if anything, this would help Acorn to be my far and away favorites for winning. And then probably Kanata second, I guess. But I just really want to see the big 3 of NA be completely uncontested. To me at least, I feel like I've seen...
Shoot. Imagine everyone was uncontested. Obviously, that can't be the case. But imagine that. Or, even better, everyone was contested. Oh my gosh, that'd be stupid. Oh my gosh, bro. Imagine that. Pollo, Peter are contested. Clix and Kanata, the same POI. And then Cooper and, shoot, what's another team? Bucky. Like, just imagine everybody contested. That'd be gross. That'd be gross.
Enough of the Peterbot versus Pollo off spawn. And now I just want to see all of these guys be able to play at their best ability. If Pollo wins this FNCS, he will be the top 7 best player of all time.
Pollo's already, I would say, top 4. Just because of how many FNCS wins he has.
Now, this is a bold, spicy take right here. We still see players to this day even trying to debate if Pollo is a top 10 player of all time.
All right, well, let me just throw it down, right? I'm just gonna say top 4. Okay, we have Peterbot first, Miro second, Cole third, Pollo fourth.
Or not,
take it or leave it.
I personally do think that he is. He's probably like exactly 10th for me right now. I think if Pollo
10? What, do you have fucking Aqua in there? Dude, how do you have 10?
This grand finals and is like far and away the best player.
Oh, okay, hold on. I just said NA people. Okay, there's a difference because Vino would be high up there too. Boog is decent. No, I still stick with my top 4. I still stick with my top 4.
Which is something that I don't feel like he has done for any of his wins. Then I think he will unanimously be a top 10 player of all time to most people. And then top 7 will probably be debatable as well. Pollo will then be sitting at 5 total FNCS wins if he's able to win this season. So he will have the same amount of wins as Peter. And he will be tied for the second most wins all time. So I think top 10 will be undeniable. And then top 7 will definitely be an argument. 100%. Peter and Pollo get placed in the same group, and one of them doesn't even qualify for grand finals.
That's what I think.
If this situation does end up happening, I think one of these teams, and probably as of right now, it's looking like Peter would most likely just go to a different spot on the map, which would probably most likely be Supernova Academy, since I doubt there is a highly unrealistic chance that both Peter, Pollo, and Clix all get into the same group. And then even if they do decide to con each other, I am pretty confident that one of them would be able to win a game off of the back of them winning off spawn. And then after that, the other one would get the POI completely uncontested. And I think there is a very real chance that even if Peter and Pollo are in the same group, even if they decide to contest each other, there is a real world where Pollo wins game 1 off spawn and then it goes on to win the game, and then Peter gets a completely uncon game 2 and then goes on to win the game. So I think there is a very, very slim chance that one of these teams doesn't qualify for grands. If Savage gets resistance based uncon, he has land potential, but if they are conned, they don't even have a chance.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be a hater, but Mr. Savage, it's just, I don't think he's comp like that.
This also does go back to what I was talking about earlier.
I need to see more out of them.
Or whatever, but I don't feel like I'm ready to say they don't even have a chance if they are contested. I think it is very difficult and probably even highly unlikely, but I'm just not ready to fully give up on the Mr. Savage chap and Rezon trio just yet. Acorn is probably the best IGL anyone has ever seen.
I'm not mad, right? Like, this isn't rage bait. It's not a bad take. I don't know who I can throw out that's better, though, so you might be onto something.
Now, I think as of right now, that current title 100% still has to go to Queasy. Queasy has placed second place multiple times at a LAN. Acorn still yet to really come close to that standard. I think the way that I would be willing to say that Acorn is the best IGL that anyone's ever seen is if he wins this upcoming FNCS, or if he wins the LAN, then you would have some very valid arguments as well. But Queasy is highly regarded as a top 5 player of all time, while being
I think Queasy would be at number 5 on the list.
An IGL.
For me.
So even though Acorn has already accomplished a lot, I still think he has more to do until he is able to take that title away from Queasy. Clix won't win Grands if he doesn't start getting more elims.
I just don't think Clix is winning Grands regardless, respectfully. Top 3, I don't know. The only thing I could see him getting a top 2 is either Peterbot or Pollo loses Osman.
Now, back-to-back second places, having the best POI on the map completely uncontested is definitely not something I necessarily expected out of that trio. I think come grand finals time, they will 100% be a lot better of a fragging type of trio than they have shown so far in the 2 div cups of the season, especially if the bird like hand items get removed. And
oh my gosh, I hope they do. It's actually kind of disgusting how many people are getting kills with this. I'm not gonna lie. It would be cool to see this removed.
Just goes back to more of like pure skill, since Clix's trio is probably one of the best mid-ground teams in the entire world. I think there maybe is some levels of concern to Clix, Yamzo, and Higgs right now, but I'm definitely not necessarily worried about them.
I would not be.
EU Grands will be more exciting than NA Grands. There are so many more teams that haven't qualified for LAN on EU, and it will be better because teams like Thomas, Vidil, Rezon, Trulex, Pink, Shark, etc., where NA Central only has like 4 teams that haven't qualified LAN, plus the winning teams are so stacked right now.
I will agree, but throw this up. What if, right? NA is going to be a bit better because there's not that many people worried about qualifying for LAN, so they're just going to W key. I think that's what's going to make NA really entertaining, but I'm not saying it's going to take away EU, because EU is going to be super exciting, because he just named so many teams that need to qual. Comparatively, obviously, to NA, where there's not many, but at the same time, like I said, NA is going to be super tough because they're not worried about qualifying. They just want to do good. They just want to just do good. So I think both are going to be really exciting. I can't think which one would be better, though.
Only has like 4 teams that haven't qualified LAN, plus the winning teams are so stacked right now. I think this is going to be another grand finals where both EU and NA should be absolute cinema. EU as a region is just so stacked with talent in general that it is always going to be entertaining to watch no matter what. And then 100%. On NA is where we have the big name storylines. We're going to get to see if Clix can really finally pull off his first ever grand finals. How will Peterbot and Pollo be looking? Are they going to keep contesting each other, and how that off spawn fight will actually go? Can Kanata continue his streak of qualifying for every single grand finals ever? And
Kanata will. I think Kanata will, personally. I know that sounded like Glaze because I said it twice. I think he would. I think the last 2 people to get land, I'm trying to think, because almost everyone in the top tier has it. Cooper, Reed have it. The last people that'd be dope to see, Miro would be cool to get land. Bucky would be dope. I mean, I'm a fan of Bucky, so that's kind of biased. Who else needs land again? I keep forgetting about NA trios. I'm sorry. Muzz, that'd be kind of cool. I like his trio. I was just watching a Shadow montage. Shadow's like mad crack. I almost thought like his aim is like too good. Like I was thinking like sus, but I mean, he's playing with Muzz. Muzz is really good. So that would be a good trio. Gosh, I can't think of any other trio at the moment. But yeah, there's still people that need to qual. That's gonna be exciting. But I think Kanata will. I think Kanata has a great chance to do that.
Are we going to have a LAN without Booga in it? I think both.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Booga has to place. I think for the storyline, Epic Games can't let that happen. Booga's gonna probably get like a mythic out of a chest or something stupid. It's gonna be like, you know how Peterbot got the mythic pulse rifle at the LAN at Pro-Am? I feel like Buga is gonna get that type of case. I don't know.
Regions have their features that make them so entertaining to watch, and this is going to be 3 straight seasons now where I think grand finals will be so entertaining.
Which, by the way, I'm gonna watch party all of it. I'm gonna do it on YouTube and Twitch. I'm actually gonna watch this. I'm gonna do it at the right time. I'm going to watch this. It's gonna be super tough.
Especially on NA now, since this is the first time in a long time that I don't think people are going to be predicting Peterbot to win Grands.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That Queasy is going to dominate the off spawn even in Grands.
That's a good opinion.
This one is, I feel like, almost impossible to even predict right now. We haven't seen these guys go against each other head to head a single time.
Good point, but like it's not bad for mystery-wise.
Quizzy has even played the game, as he has been in Russia trying to get his visa. Melabuka's trio didn't necessarily look the strongest when they were contested by Vico, Vino, and Flixie last season. And Quizzy's trio has already been able to pull off a top 5 while being contested in a Grands. So in this very moment, I am leaning a little bit more towards the favor of Quizzy's trio, but I just feel like, once again, this is almost impossible to be able to predict. Vanya is currently the best IGL and high ground player in the world with his trio. This is a take that is pretty debatable. I feel like after the performance we even saw out of Acorn though, from being contested by the best team in the entire world, winning 3 out of 6 games, and winning the finals in general, there is not much more check boxes that you can check to be.
Right, I think Vaniac's good on EU, but to compare of like all time or all regions, that'd be, you know, you be biting the bullet on that one.
The
I don't
best
know.
IGL in that specific week.
That's not the take I should have said. I shouldn't have said to bite the bullet. It's just Acorn's better. Let's just say that.
Best IGL in the world. I think Venya, Acorn, and Queasy are all around that same category of like hard IGLs. So I wouldn't consider players in there like Iamzo or even like Peter necessarily. So I think that on a week-to-week basis, it is kind of fluctuating between who is the best IGL in the world. There's going to be another snake hitting before FNCS involving Rise.
That would be so fire. If there's another snaking, oh my gosh. Just imagine, right? I mean, this can't happen because of land. But, like, imagine, like, Peterbot switches with Pollo or something stupid. Or Clix comes in and switches out Rise. Like, that, I'm telling you, like, there could be some crazy plot. Obviously, you know, land is fully locked in for these trios. But imagine the grand finals would be crazy.
Now, straight up, I just have to say, probably agree with this one right here. These pros now have 2 off weeks with nothing to do besides talk to the other pros, see how they're feeling in their trio, seeing how confident people are in.
I can't wait to hear the drama.
To be able to qualify for LAN, and all it takes is one player to decide to switch teams.
By the way, down there is Clix in them, and they get destroyed in this game.
To lead to a whole nother snake inning happening, so I could definitely see this being a possibility. If it is 6-6 in Grands, both teams for Peter and Pollo will top 5.
Huh?
Now, as crazy as it sounds, saying that they will both top 5, I don't know if I'm ready to necessarily say that yet. I think one of them can 100% top 5. We literally saw it last week where they ended up going 3-3 off spawn. I'm pretty sure Peter finished in like 7th and then Acorn finished in 10th. It really just does go to show the difference in skill between the top 3 trios in the region and everybody else, that people legitimately think that even if Peter and Pollo both only have 6 games to be able to play, that they will both be able to finish inside of the top 5. In the only game that Peter was able to win off spawn, he literally still finished with over 100 points, finished in 20th place from only 1 end game. So if we're just multiplying that by 6 and saying that he's going to finish grand finals with around 600-ish points, then he could finish relatively close to that top 5 mark. I think this is a take that is possible, but it's very hard to say whether or not I agree with it or not yet.
I agree with Kid I just said. I think that's just, it's too debatable.
Pix's team can win Major 3 with an uncontested Utopia City. Now, if you guys aren't caught up to date with everything that's going on, like I said earlier, Queasy has left Utopia City to now contest Malibuca, and Pix was the first person to claim Utopia City now. We have since seen Vadil say he's also going to land at Utopia City now too, though.
Ruh-roh, that's contested.
And the thing with Pixstar Mandemus is they have been very disappointing this season, to say the least. But they have also been very heavily contested this season.
That's always sucks when they're contested. It makes their players look like butt. At the same time, it does kind of make them butt because they didn't win. But like, darn.
Team has now shown in multiple grand finals
that always
they can
stinks.
be a top 5 trio on.
But like, one trio has to look bad though. You feel me?
If they have a fully uncontested POI. And this was a team that I wanted to say going into this season was a potential winning team on the region. But if they are contested, I don't even think they're necessarily in contention for being a top 10 trio. If they are on con though, I think people could 100% get back onto that bandwagon of maybe believing in them to win FNCS, but it has just been a rough season, all things considered, for Pigstorm and Demas. Pollo's team is overglazed after one great placement despite their horrible form the entire season.
That's not a bad take, right? Because there's a lot of people saying that. However, they're still good. They're still really good.
Now, for the people that are saying like they're going to win grand finals while being conned by Peter, I think I would maybe agree a little bit in saying that they're being a little overrated in that sense. But Puyo, Acorn, and Agers have always shown us that they are at the very minimum a top 5 team in a grand finals, and to me they will never go lower than the 3rd best team on NA. When you have a team with Pollo, who is probably the best support player of all time, Agers, who has shown he can be the best player in a grand finals, and Acorn, who is one of the best IGLs of all time, they are always going to get their deserved respect, and people will always be high on them, and I think that is 100% valid.
100%.
This trio was looking the worst they have looked ever this season, literally dying to zone 1 game.
I was just talking about this. It's Cooper, Reed, and then there's one more player that I forget about. But they've already qualified for LAN. I don't think they're trying that hard. So I can't comment on this take because I don't know how they did.
Yeah, I really don't know what was going on with Cooper, Reed, and Curly this week.
Curly, that's what it was. Curly's disgusting.
This was a trio, and this is a trio that was breaking into the top 3 of NA for a lot of people. And then in the last Div Cup of the season, with a completely uncontested POI, with them training Surge every game, weren't even able to make it inside of the top 10. I want to VOD review a couple of their games and see what was really going on for them and why they ended up struggling so bad. But this is not the Cooper, Reed, and Curly trio that I know, and hopefully this is just a one-off performance and it's not a sign of things to come for them.
I wish he said what he thought the issue was, because that would have, I don't know. I have no clue what they could have done.
Other than that though, we got to go over a lot of different fun and
if he died his zone, it was probably just bad rotation.
Spicy takes. As always, let me know which takes you guys agree.
Like, this was like a disgustingly good video because there was so many debate and topic and whatever. Y'all, let me know in the comments what y'all think of everything we just talked about in this video. Big W's to K-Dog. Of course, go follow him. Go show him some love. Big W's to K-Dog. I appreciate him and letting me react to this stuff. Of course, comment what y'all think. God bless. Just loves y'all. Have a good one. Toodaloo.